Hello, families. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Gingerbread Family Project. I have some directions and samples. I'm going to try and clarify some of this for you. So first and foremost, this is a family project. It's designed for the whole family to work on together. Should not be something that your child does alone. Just won't turn out as well, and they won't enjoy it, and it'll defeat the main purpose of the activity. So the object is for your family to create a gingerbread person and a story about that person as a whole family. We'd like the story to be an adventure of some sort. First, we want you to discuss whether your gingerbread person is a boy or a girl, a doctor, a lawyer. What do you and your child and brothers and sisters, what do you all think this gingerbread person should be? Second, I want you to decide how you should create your gingerbread person. Like, start talking about things that could be used to make the gingerbread person. You could create clothes and a face and hair using different materials like yarn, fabric, colored paper, glitter glue, candy, etc. And you definitely want to use a variety of things. We're going to talk about the rubric and the grading in a little bit, but part of the grading is that a variety of items are used. Don't have your child just grab a colored pen and color on the gingerbread person. That will really reduce their grade. Next, you want to lay out your design on the gingerbread person. Don't just start gluing things. You're teaching your child how to plan, how to make sure that they're getting what they want to get from something. So when you really want something to look good, you don't just start gluing things on. You get all of your materials, you shape it, you cut it, you make it look the way you want to, you lay it out, and then you begin gluing or sewing. You don't just do it crazy like, right? After it looks the way that you all agree it should look, it's time to glue the pieces onto the gingerbread person. So I gave you a foam template, and that's what you need to use to make your gingerbread person. Everybody has the same gingerbread. Once you've glued it, I want you to put it in a safe place to dry. If you have pets, make sure that it is safe from those pets. Put it where they can't get it. If there's a room they're not allowed to go into, put it there, put it up high. Make sure it's in a safe place. How heartbreaking would it be to have one of the animals get a hold of it and eat it up? Continuing directions. Step 6. As a family, come up with a name for your gingerbread person. In class, we like to just throw out all the ideas we can think of, and we narrow it down by allowing everyone to vote for 2 of their favorites. When we get down to 3, then we vote for 1 favorite and decide kind of that way. Perhaps that might work for your family. You may also think about combining 2 names. When you get down, you just can't choose between the last 2. Put them together in some way to make an interesting new name. Step 7. Think of an adventure that your person can have for your story. Again, this should be an adventure, something that happens in the middle that's exciting and gets resolved. The adventure could go with what you dressed your gingerbread person up as. They're a doctor, maybe there's some sort of medical emergency and the doctor saves the day. Or perhaps it's a ballerina and she is really nervous about her first dance recital. But then it turns out fabulous and everyone stands and gives her a standing ovation in the end. Use your imaginations. Step 8. Create your first draft and read it aloud to your whole family. Decide what things you might want to add to make it more interesting. Be sure it has a true beginning, middle, and ending, a complete story. Step 9, create your final draft to be sent in with your gingerbread person. When creating your first draft, you can go back and you can have the adults or the older children in your family write the first draft, as long as they write neatly where the third grader can read it. And then I simply ask that the third grader be the one to write the final draft in their best penmanship. When writing the first draft, please be sure that you're not capitalizing everything, that you're writing the way that the children in third grade are learning to write. Capital letters at the beginning of names, sentences, not capitals in the very middle of a word. Your final draft will be sent in on the top of your page, and this should be written by the third grader. Do not do it all in one lump sum. If your story ended up being 3 or 4 pages long, don't have your third grader sit down and do it all in one thing. Maybe they write 1 page and take a break and later do a second page. We want it to be in their best penmanship, and it would be preferable that they're able to read their own work. Last step is help your third grader practice reading the story. All third graders will read their stories to the class and show their gingerbread person that they created with their families. They will come up and put the gingerbread person under our projector, and that will be displayed throughout their story reading. Go ahead and have them practice at home a couple of times until you're sure that they can feel comfortable. We'll be reading these aloud over several days in class, and I want to just thank you all for supporting your third grader in their learning. We really appreciate your help with this. So next, let's talk a little bit about the scoring rubric. So we have an area called creativity. You want more points. So 4 points is the most you can get in that area, and that is if you used 4 or more elements, such as pins or crayons or felt or buttons, candy. You use 4 different kinds of media to decorate your gingerbread person. And if you only use one, for instance, the child that just used a crayon and colored on the gingerbread person, that child only got 1 out of 4 points. That's 25%. That's not real great. So we want to find several things. Be creative. You guys, the kids have great imaginations, and I'm pretty sure they learned about that from you, right? You can help them with this. Craftsmanship. To get a 4, the gingerbread person showed that the creators took great pride in their work. The design and construction looked to have been very carefully created. On the other end of the spectrum, a 1 would be that the design and construction looked to have been hurriedly created. For instance, the one that was just done with a crayon. It didn't look like time was taken, and clearly it was just finished up, or the child was left to their own devices to do on their own. Details. So on the gingerbread person, the details are all easily viewed and identifiable from across the classroom. And again, teams, they're on a screen, and we want everybody to be able to see it really well. Okay, and if we happen to be back in the classroom for these presentations, again, we'll be sitting 6 feet apart from each other, which means kids will be sitting all the way at the back of the room in order to spread out. So we'll want everybody to be able to see it. And on the other end of the spectrum, a 1 is that the details of clothes, body parts are unclear, either because they're designed and improperly designed, or that it's just tiny. Effort. A 4 is it appears that much time and effort went into the planning and design of the gingerbread person. It'll be obvious that more people worked on the gingerbread person with the child. It wasn't done only by the child. And on the other end of the spectrum, an effort that would deserve a 1 is it appears that minimal time and effort went into the planning and design of the gingerbread person. And then finally, we have working with family. So for a 4, it should be clear that the student worked at home with his or her family and that many aspects show a good deal of parent involvement and structure. I can tell when a child does it all on their own and when they have the help that they've been asking for and need. And a 1 would be it seems as though the student might have worked independently. Altogether, they could earn up to 20 points on the gingerbread person. So just on the gingerbread alone, they could get 20 points if they got 4 in all 5 categories. Here's some examples. So you do not have to decorate the back of the gingerbread person, but in some of the past years, I've had a few that did. So I've got a couple of those examples in here because they kind of went a little above and beyond. This is a knight. This is a knight, and let me show you the story that goes with this. Look at that. So a lot of foam and stickers and some coloring, and here's some felt. This is some green paper back here. Here's the felt cape that we can see on the front. Okay, let's look at the story. I've got several stories to show different levels of writing abilities. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a boy named Hero that wanted a big family, but his family had died a long time ago. One day, he decided to join the army, and he was very good at fighting, so they made him a knight. Now, there was more to this story, but I didn't want to put all the pieces in here and make this take forever. Here is Ayla walking on the sidewalk. She had a beautiful dress and a pretty jacket and pretty earrings. She saw a pretty blue flower. It smelled great. She played in the grass. She ran in a circle. She played in the something, I'm not sure what that word is. She kicked the ball and she read a book. It was nighttime. And then when you turn over the page, you find out what happened. But you'll never know. Sorry. This is Aaliyah. See, they've used a little ribbon. There's some cotton for the hair. They put some little gems for earrings. There's a little bit of thread that they wrapped around to make a bracelet. Here's some ribbon and a little button. They use some ink to make the shoes. Jason was playing football when he made an interception. He was spun around and didn't know which way to go. Part of him went left, part of him went right. He tore himself in half. His coach poured eggnog on him and fixed him. Jason won the game. Let's see that football player. Look at that football player. This reminds me so much of the student. During football season, I would wear my Seahawks and he would wear his Cowboys gear. And he'd always go, boo, Seahawks, when he got to school, and I'd say, boo, Cowboys. He thought it was so fun teasing me about the Seahawks. All right. Meet Jeffrey, the mountain climber. Jeffrey went to the mountains to find a crystal. He uses his rope to climb. He almost fell, but he saved himself. He kept climbing until he found the crystal. Jeffrey put the crystal in his pack. Next, he went back down the mountain, taking his time. And you have to know the student to hear the rest of it. But here is that backpacker. Now, it's another one that did the front and back. And when you see the little button there, when you open this backpack, there's a little piece of paper that you pull up, and at the top it says homework. And then it's got a couple of little tiny math problems on it. It's really cute. But if you look here, this little hat is a real tiny hat that his mom, I don't know if she crocheted it or knitted it, but his mom made this just for this project. And then she gave him felt, and he made this little backpack. So isn't that cute? So it's got a lot of components. These eyes are not googly eyes. What it is they used some white out to make the big white part. They let it dry, and then they came back and used a little bit of black ink right there for the eyeball. It's kind of cool. And here's another one that has a front and a back. This is one of my students that loved Pokemon. And so we've got Ash on the front and Pikachu on the back. Isn't that great? All right, so that was just a few examples. I've had so many great gingerbread people turned in. All of our classes, we just enjoy this so much. And usually we get to be at school and hang them up in the hallway so everybody gets to see them. They're just lovely. It's a fun exercise. So here's some ideas for your stories. You could build a story around your own family, around things that you guys like, hobbies that you have, or an adventure you've had. You could design the adventure around the look of your gingerbread person. So we had that football player story with the football player. We had a story about the mountain climber that went looking for crystals and had his climbing gear and backpack. You can build an adventure and gingerbread person around your child's future career. So in the past, I've had doctors and ballerinas and chefs and some really cute stories that went along with those. Here are some ideas for decorating materials. Buttons, yarn, cotton balls, candy, napkins, scrap cloth, felt, paint, colored paper, ribbon, glitter, wrapping paper, washcloth, hair clips, cardboard, old t-shirt, clay, bells, like those little round jingle bells. I one time demonstrated for my class. I made one really quick in the classroom. Just ran around and grabbed stuff. Like I took a white napkin, folded it all fancy, and made a skirt. You know, you can find things and they could be used in different ways than what we're used to using them for. So use those imaginations. Family fun. This should be a family fun project. I know we all know at first glance this might look overwhelming, but it is meant to be a fun family activity that will also extend our learning. And in past years, the response to this activity has been excellent. The children love presenting their gingerbread people to the class and reading the story they created with their families. And then they love getting that feedback from classmates about how much they like the story or they love something on the gingerbread person. So it might seem tough, but we broke it out in little pieces on the homework in your packets that you picked up. And it's doable in bite sizes. The one thing I would say maybe really stretch out is if your story ends up being 2 or 3 pages long, stretch out the time that you give your child to copy it neatly onto the final draft paper. Give them some breaks, maybe a little treat or snack between sections, okay? We are here for you. If you have questions or need something, please send us an email, okay? Keep that gingerbread person safe and in a nice location. Keep all of your work safe. The children will turn in every piece of it, and you will get every piece back after it's all graded, okay? Thank you very much. Have fun with this.